Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm Jen.
Hey guys, I'm Chelsea. And today we are so excited. We have Robert with Malachite Media today. We are going to do a great video for you talking about social media and what it means for you as an esthetician to use these platforms.
Yeah, it's so important, you guys, to get your name and your business out there. So we're really excited to have you today and just ask him some questions to help you guys with your business.
You guys, we brought Robert on because he is a social media guru. We really want to have him introduce himself and tell us about why he is our social media expert.
Sure, yeah. So Robert Medina, founder of Malachite Media. I'm actually head of business development there now. So we've been in business since 2017, but really my start in marketing goes way back to the early 2000s. So I used to work with graphic design as far as, making GIFs back when AOL Instant Messenger was a big thing.
Yeah.
So I had friends that wanted me to make those. So that's really how I started playing with marketing, right, or graphic design, and that kind of whole, I guess, scene, right. Started working on websites using Microsoft Front Page, and then I kind of took a different, I guess, path to my career. I started working in sales for quite a while, and then eventually just went back to marketing. It kind of just pulled me, like creative side, I think, pulled me back in there. So I've been doing it ever since. Have had several positions as a marketing director for local businesses here in Boise, Idaho. Just continued learning, and the learning never stops really with marketing. So
yeah, no, it never does, really.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. That's awesome that you are helping local businesses grow. Can you tell me, you have an award? I saw that on your Instagram. Why don't you say what that is? It was a big one. It was recent, 2025.
Yeah. So we earned the award for SEO startup companies. That was recent. We've actually earned a few different awards, but that's the most recent one. One of the things that we really like to do with our clients is we don't make a cookie cutter approach or strategy for every single business, right? Every business is unique and different, even if they are in the same, I guess, category or niche, right? So that's one of the things that we do, is that when we structure a campaign for a client, we take a deep dive into what they've been doing, what they want to achieve, and look at their competitors to be able to come up with a good, affordable or budget-friendly approach, and that's scalable, right? So that award really speaks volumes as to why we've earned that, and how we've been able to, I guess, meet our clients' needs.
Really, when you get new clients, I think as a beauty professional, what would you look at in their social media platforms to try and help them? I gotta say, the biggest question has to be, how do I gain followers, and how do I use my social media platforms to book or sell my services or products?
Right. Yeah. Well, there's several different things that should be done first, right? First and foremost is you have to pick the platform.
Yeah.
So, some people may say you want to try and do as much as possible on as many platforms as possible to get maximum exposure. The problem with that is that if you stretch yourself out too thin, right, as a business owner doing this, your own marketing, you're going to get burned out, right? So picking the platform first is going to be key, and that's actually going to help you create the content too.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to be on Facebook, you're not going to, or let's just say if you're going to be on TikTok, you're not going to create graphics, right? You're going to create video.
Exactly.
So that would be the difference. So once you've picked your platform, which what I would recommend for the type of businesses that you guys, or the business category that you guys are in, I would say either Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok to start, right? Pick any of those. If you want to kind of kill two birds with one stone, you can go with Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram. And it's just because you're really, you'll be able to cross-post your content on multiple platforms simultaneously, right? So that's the advantage. As far as when we onboard a client that is in need of social media management, one of the first things that we ask is, what are your top 3 competitors, right? And so what we do is that we look at what they're doing, right? We take a look at all of their social media profiles. We take a look at what they're, not only what they're doing on social media, but how they're presenting themselves. What is their brand, right? What does their website look like? You know, when they do video content, is there always somebody in front of the camera, or are they doing something more with a voiceover and showing before and after, you know, videos, right? So that would be the first thing that we would do. Once we establish and see where, you know, the brand we're helping is missing the mark, or where they can improve, then we come up with the strategy as far as frequency, the type of post, whether it's infographics, before and after videos, even just having the business owner in front of a camera speaking about their business, showing that they're experts in their field, showing, developing trust, right, with the viewers. So all these things are important, and all these things would be laid out in the strategy. To simplify that, if you're doing it yourself, I think that the best way is to look at other brands that you look up to, right? That would be a good start. Look at those brands, look at what they do, and think to yourself, how can I do this better? And how can I do this better for my brand, right? How would it represent us, right? So that would be a good way to start. Don't get burned out. I would say don't try and do 20 videos in a week, because it's quality over quantity when you first start. When you put quality content, everything else will follow. So that's what I would say.
Such a good tip. No, that's such a good tip.
So can you tell us some ways to measure if we're successful in our social media platforms? So we're always looking at, you know, how many people watched our reels and how many people looked at our posts. Is that important? Do we need to be measuring that? It doesn't matter? It
does matter in a sense where, you know, it's not going to bring revenue, right? But that would be the ultimate goal, right, from any of this that we're doing. But it will matter as far as being able to get an idea as far as what's resonating with your audience the most, right? So that will allow you to scale your content. That's why I say that, you know, at first you want quality over quantity, because this allows you to A/B test, right? So you can do one video, right, showing a before and after, right, with a voiceover. Then you can do another video of that same before and after, but this time with someone on camera. And it's just a good way to test it, right? And you might be surprised. You might notice that the one that shows someone on camera has more engagement. So now you know, hey, let's make a little bit more content that's this way, right? And it'll help you scale that way. As far as what metrics to look at, it really just depends, right? In marketing, we call it KPIs, right? Key performance indicators. And everybody's are different, right? And depending on what marketing strategy you're trying to implement. So for example, with social media, you would likely want to look at followers as a KPI, engagement as a KPI, and bookings as a KPI, believe it or not. You know, people can get bookings through organic content, but the keys would be to make sure that you add clear call to actions at the end, or even at the beginning, at some point of the video, right? Showing a before and after is perfectly fine, but you have to, you know, it's sales 101, right? You have to ask for the sale. You have to ask, because if you don't ask, then you're just putting out entertainment content, right? Which we are doing both. At the same time, as a small business, we want that content, that time that we're putting into it, to bring back something, right? Even if it's not right away. So, long story short, the metrics to look at for specifically social media are going to be followers, engagement, and bookings. Those are the top three that I would probably recommend.
So when you're putting an ad out there, do you say those are worth it, first of all, using Instagram ads, Facebook ads?
As far as paid ads, media buys, yes, they are 100% worth it. And, you know, there's so many platforms where you can run media ads now. I mean, you have Google ads, you have even streaming TV. I mean, you can go anywhere. The nice thing about social media is that it's always been notoriously inexpensive in comparison to other platforms. So a good example is we had a client we onboarded we're going about 60 days now. and their budget was $500. They're in the outdoor recreation space out of California. And so with those $500, we were able to set up a funnel campaign to increase bookings, because they book a hot air balloon rides, to increase bookings. And so with those $500, I think I was just checking it just a little bit ago. They're at about 100 bookings, right?
Oh, that's
So
amazing.
you do the math at $300 each booking. You know, those $500 you invested have a really good ROI.
Yeah.
But the thing about social media ads is that, specifically with Meta, so Facebook and Instagram, is that there are several ways to be able to run them, right? Meta wants to make it easy for anybody to run ads, so they came up with the bright idea of putting something that says boost on every post, right?
Oh my gosh,
so you can boost the post.
Yeah.
And which is nice when you're just trying to get something out there, throw some money at it and see what happens, right? The downside to that is that you are limited as to what you can do as far as targeting with the ad, right? So you want to make sure that you're not just throwing a bunch of stuff out there and see who's going to like it, right? You want to be a little bit more strategic about it.
Yes.
And you're going to want to be able to target not just, you know, location, age, gender, but interests, behaviors. You could even do lookalike audiences. So if anybody out there has an email list, right, that you've been gathering, you could actually use that email list and create a lookalike audience where Meta's AI will automatically look for other people who have similar characteristics as far as what they do on the platform and what they like, all that behavior, and serves the ads to those people, right? Which increases your chances at serving the ad to the correct people.
And that's huge, guys. That is really what it's all about, really trying to find your exact customer out in the world and in your local area to attract yourself to them.
Exactly. That's like business 101, though. You really need to figure out who your target audience is. And if you don't know that, that's step one. But then making sure that you're putting relevant content out there. I forgot in one of them to put Boise, Idaho. I was serving my ads to the entire United States. So it was like obviously not giving me any return on investment, obviously. But then I figured it out. So definitely learn how to use it. I mean, it's pretty user-friendly, Meta.
It is, yes. It could get a little bit complicated, but if you're just using like the core tools, right? So I would say instead of boosting, go to the create a Meta business, Ads Manager account, right? Through the business suite. And then through Ads Manager, you'll start kind of getting to know what exactly does what, because at first glance it might look a little overwhelming because it'll look like there's just a ton of stuff that you'd have to sort through. But the thing is that if it's just like any other platform, Google does this with their business profiles. If you follow the steps and just look at it carefully, or Google a term that you might not be familiar with, you'll be able to get through it with no problem. The first couple of times might take you, you know, what normally would take 30 minutes, 45 minutes to do, it might take you 2 hours. But it's that learning curve that's going to allow you to really dial in what type of ads you're putting out and who you're showing them to.
I cannot say enough. Having someone look at your social media is so important. And we were kind of chatting in the background, and something I wanted Robert to touch on is when you're having someone look through your social media, one of the best things about having is they really alert you and keep you on key of what's going on in your comments, in your DMs. And I think we were talking about what happens when you're getting bad comments, bad reviews, having someone to be able to help you run through that process.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's actually one of the services we offer. It's reputation management, right? And that wouldn't just cover social media. It would cover really your brand all across platforms that you're on, whether it's, you know, Google reviews or a comment on Facebook or even a review on Facebook. So we would be, what we do is we monitor all of the engagement that your brand gets, right? So a good example is we have a client in the automotive industry, and they recently, so what they do, they put out auctions, right? And it's bi-weekly. So the vehicles in their auctions always change, right? And so we create content, video content specifically for them, for us to run ads, right? Now, one of the videos we created was with a vehicle that they had on the auction block, which was a Tesla. Right now, we are living in a day and age where, things can be a little controversial, especially on social media. Even though the business has nothing to do with the issue, right?
Right.
Which that was the case in this situation, right? So we overnight, there was probably 300-400 comments on this video that were completely irrelevant to what the business was trying to achieve, right? And it was because it was politically motivated, because of it's more of a trigger, right, for some people. And so when we saw this, we worked with the business owner and we came up with a good strategy to mitigate, negative comments. We had to actually turn off comments on that. Funny enough, that was probably the most successful campaign we ran with them, because of so much engagement, right?
Really.
Meta saw that and they went crazy. They're like, oh man, we got to keep showing this to people. And so it actually worked out in his favor. Not ideal, right? To at least for him, he didn't like to be put in that situation. It was just kind of one of those things where being aware of what's happening around you might be a good idea if you don't want, something like that to happen, right?
Well, and something that you kind of mentioned is, most importantly, he doesn't get to control that, but how it plays out and how you respond to it and how you choose to act to it is what your audience does get to see. So having someone to help you and make sure that it's done promptly, because that does play a part in it, as well as handled as appropriately as you can handle it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's going to be the most important part, right? I mean, one of the things that I've always lived by, even working in-house as a marketing director, is when you get a negative review, the worst thing you could do is not respond to it. Or be defensive about it, right?
Exactly.
Those are the two worst things you could possibly do.
So
there's an old saying, customer's always right, right?
Agreed.
So even though it might not always be the case, the fact of the matter is that we're still running a business, and how we choose to represent our business is completely up to us, right? We can't control what somebody else is saying or how they feel about the situation. All we can do is represent ourselves and our business in the best possible way and try to diffuse the situation the best possible way.
So what about having your logo consistency throughout all these websites? So like we have two separate parts of our business, one education and one for the client, and we have two different logos for that. Would you say having one logo would be better and more consistent than having two different logos? What's your advice on that?
Yeah, I think that brand consistency is super important to establish trust with your audience, right? If it's like in your case, right, you have technically they're two different things. There's the educational side and then there's the service side. So having a variation of the logo is okay, but as far as having different logos for just, let's just say, your service business, you have a logo one logo on Google, and then you have a different logo on Facebook, and then a different logo on TikTok or Instagram. So that starts becoming a little bit tricky, I guess. So you want to have as much brand consistency as far as even graphics created, right? So color scheme, the feel, the vibe of the post, the tone, everything should be consistent with your brand, right? So that's something to think about. And there's some out there that say, don't use AI. I'm going to be the one that tells you use AI. Use ChatGPT to help you. You can actually train your AI model to actually learn or help you come up with a tone and come up with a brand identity, and then have it remember it, so that when the next time, let's just say you want to write a description for a video you're working on and you have writer's block, you can ask your AI model, hey, I need help with XYZ. One of the biggest things that I'm going to tell you not to do is working on that brand identity is don't simply just copy and paste what AI gives you. That's the biggest mistake I've seen many people do, and it's just because it's so easy to do it, right? You just say, I want this, copy, paste, you're done, right? Unfortunately, in order to get the best I guess, not just results, but the best human-like tone with what you're trying to do, you want to tweak those to your liking, right?
And it's not always right. There was a lawyer who got disbarred for using copy and pasting ChatGPT.
Yep.
So yeah, it's not. You do need to read through the content, but it is really helpful to spark some ideas.
It is, and especially if you. So we actually use AI, and what we do is that we train every AI model that we have that's specific to a business. So let's just say we onboard a client today, and we do our market research for that client. All of this information starts being fed to our AI model specific for that client, right? So at the end of it, we're not just the only experts for your business, right? But we have an AI model that we've trained that knows, your ROI, what your KPIs are, what social media strategies you're looking for, how we're looking to scale that, what strategies we're implementing right away. So all of this stuff is good to train your AI model, not just to get information that you don't know, right? You can feed it information you do know, and it's going to help streamline your workflow, right? So it's going to make things a lot faster for you, especially when, you're caught up in the day-to-day of the business. You're like, oh, shoot, I have to do a social media post. So it's always nice to have, I guess, your assistant, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a little pocket assistant.
It is. I'm going to put all of Robert's info all in the comments, all in the description. So don't worry, you guys are going to be able to find him. But please tell us a little bit about what services you offer and how they can benefit us.
Yeah, absolutely. So we really offer anything that has to do with helping a brand's digital presence, right? It's trying to find a way to word that because, it's not simply just marketing, right? I mean, marketing could just be ads. So we do run ads, but we also help with reputation management. We help with your Google reviews. We help with responding to negative comments, right? So our list of services is pretty extensive, right? But in a nutshell is, if you need help with your digital presence as far as social media, your website, SEO, Google Ads, even graphic design, videography, video editing, we are experts in this category, right? We have clients right now who are small businesses who really don't have the money to spend on a robust social media campaign, but want to learn. So they hired us as consultants, right? So we help, we get on weekly meetings and we teach them, for example, if they have a question on how to set up an ad campaign, we'll get on a Zoom call and share our screen and show them from A to Z how we would do it, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. So you basically can be anywhere to hire you.
Yep.
Wow, I love that.
Yep. So it makes it easy for the business owner, right? Just set an hour aside, and if you're willing to learn and you want to do it yourself, that's a good way to do it.
Such a great option.
If you want somebody else to do it, we can do that too. We've worked with brands in your space. We have one who we currently host a website for as low as $50 a month. You can have a website that's custom built. It's not something that lives on Wix or even Vagaro, right? I think that's a platform.
That is a great platform.
Vagaro is a scheduling platform. It's a great platform. We use it.
But there's a great option to having it organically hosted. What is the word? What's the customized hosted? What is it?
A hosted website.
Yeah, there is definitely a good reason to have a hosted website to be able to get into it no matter what platform you're using, whether you're using Vagaro, whether you're not using Vagaro.
Exactly, yeah. So one of the advantages would be getting away from a platform like Wix, right? Your SEO you'd be able to customize a lot more of the technical SEO aspects. And we can say, things like your canonical tag, your URL slug. So little things like this that help your SEO, you'll be able to have full control of it if you have a website that's hosted on like WordPress or Bluehost, right? So you have more control over that. our client that we currently host a website for, they use Vigral for their booking.
Right.
So they actually go, we have a link that goes to their booking page, right? But their actual website is optimized for their local presence, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to reach people in New York, or if you're not in New York or in Florida, you want to make sure that your website is speaking to your target audience and that is optimized, so you're able to rank organically in search results.
And you guys, Robert does it all. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. We will shoot them out to him, or really reach out, ask your question, get a consult in with his studio. It's so worth it to have someone that you know and that you trust and is going to work for you and do exactly what you're looking for in your marketing campaign or in your digital presence.
And one of the biggest things in business is you can't do everything. So it's good to hire out locally, or hire out somewhere outside that can help you. And your services seem amazing, especially with the consulting. It's a definitely learning curve to get on these social media platforms.
Yep.
So
and I would say do your homework before you hire an agency. Make sure that they're reputable. There's so many scams out there nowadays, especially online. We've had to save a number of clients from some things that have been done by other agencies that they didn't operate on integrity. So just do your homework. If you need advice, you can reach out to me. It's free. We can have a conversation.
You guys, one of the reasons we're here is to help you guys grow, and this is one aspect of a business. And it was such great information. Being on social platforms now is it's imperative to running a business nowadays. So thank you so much for coming on and letting us ask you all these questions.
I know.
We really appreciate it.
We absolutely appreciate your time. I know that our audience really appreciates it. Social media is imperative. If you're not on it, you need to get on it. And if you're resistant to it, you need to hire help. So please press that like button and subscribe. We're here once a week, so let us know what you want to see next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.